There's one last topic in our graphing of lines, and that is when we actually are presented with a graph, can we come up with the equation of the line in y equals mx plus b form? So we have an example where we are provided with a line, and what we want to do is we want to come up with the equation that represents this line. And we know that there are different formats that we have seen, but we are going to be working with the format y equals mx plus b. So that means we actually have to figure out two pieces of information. We have to calculate the slope of our line, and we have to calculate the y-intercept. So the slope, in order to calculate the slope of your line, you want to be able to identify two very clear points on your grid. And so when I say clear points, I mean points where both the x and the y value are going to be integers. Now I've helped you out here. I have indicated several points that are very clear on this particular graph. It doesn't matter which two you choose as long as you pick 2 points. So let's, for example, say that I choose this point and this point. So what I would do is I would say to go from this point to this point, I had to go down. So I'm going to draw in the right triangle that represents that, connects them. Okay, so to go from this point to this point, how did I get there? Well, the first thing I did, remember, we're working with the idea that slope equals rise over run. So in my case, I went down from a 5 to a 1. I went down 4 squares, and then I count forward 6. So my slope is negative 4 over 6, but we always want to present our slope in lowest terms. So both 4 and 6 are even, so we're going to reduce this to negative 2/3. So this is going to be our m value. Then we look at our graph and we see the y-intercept is at positive 5. It's right here. This is where our graph crosses the y-axis at positive 5. So that means we have a b value in our equation equal to 5. Now we take these two pieces of information and we replace m and b in y equals mx plus b. So our slope is negative 2/3 and our y-intercept is positive 5. Now we have our equation in y equals mx plus b. Let's look at another one. Okay, this time we have, this was a negative slope. This one here, the direction is going up to the right, so I know that I need to have a positive slope. Again, to assist you, I've drawn in some points. So I'm going to calculate my slope by drawing in right triangles. And so what we're going to do is to go from this point to this point. How did you get there? Okay, I actually should have drawn it on this side, but either way, the rise is positive 2. There was an up 2, and I also went forward 7. So that means my slope is 2 over 7. The y-intercept is at positive 3. This is your value for b. This is m. So now you replace the slope is negative 2 over 7. You multiply it by x, and our y-intercept is positive 3. So the equation is y equals 2 over 7x plus 3. Verify. Go to your y-intercept at 3, count up 2 squares, and go forward 7. Bingo, you're back on the point. You've got a second point on your line, so I am confident that I have the right answer. Now, in these two examples, a line was provided. Well, what happens if we don't give you the information in a graphical format? So this is our third example. A line has a y-intercept of negative 3, and it goes through the point 5, negative 2. What is the equation of this line in y equals mx plus b form? This should say at, it's got a little typo there. So the y-intercept is at -3, that's one, and it also goes through the point 5, -2, 5, -2. There we go. Those are two key points. So I can take the information that's presented and I can put it into a graphical format. So if I connect these 2 points, it now looks like the questions that we've been looking at up above. We can see that the y-intercept is at -3, sorry, and the slope to go from this point to this point, you draw in your right triangle, and you had to go up 1, so you went up 1 and forward 5. So your slope is 1/5. And now we have a slope of 1/5 times x minus 3. Okay, so in your equation in y = mx + b, x and y need to be there. All you're doing is replacing m with the value for the slope for your particular line, and b is replaced with the numeric value that corresponds to the y-intercept.